looks so far in the truck. I think that leaves adequate room for movement on all sides. It's probably not completely centered right now, but that's how I want it to sit. Now, a couple things to take away. For one, I need to be able to access this panel. Now, I don't need to be able to access this panel, but I want to. Not when this is down, I need to be, well, what I could do is somehow put something, I don't know, I'm kind of trying to figure how I want to do it. Obviously this can come out any point in time, and these drawers are supposed to be the ones that hold the stuff like this and everything in that tote. So honestly, once I have this where I want it, I can just kind of put it wherever I want. Now, the thing that makes it so it doesn't move is the top. The top kind of holds it in place. And the seats just kind of stay up. Now, I could find a way to mount this down a little better, but honestly, it's heavy enough that I don't really care about it moving around too much. Plus, like I said, once I get this, like the top on top of it, then it'll be a lot better. I'm gonna put the top, one of these tops on, and see if I can get it to kind of fit in there how I'd like it. But the good news is I'm working with a really solid base for this to kind of make a real like flat, a real nice contact with this. It's not super awkward on where it goes. I should be able to line it up pretty much perfectly to where I want maybe the face or the front to match this body line. So it should work out quite nicely. I also realized I have a outlet back here, which is kind of nice. So I should be just golden to kind of put that down there. Plus, this gives me a lot of room to be able to access this cubby here, as well as this section here if I need it. So, plus cup holders, it's kind of cool. I think butting this up directly against the seat is probably my best bet. And then maybe sometime I'll find a way to mount this to the floor somehow. Maybe drill a couple holes for eye bolts to come up through this panel. And that should be pretty easy. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see, and that puts the drawers in a really nice, good spot. I can make everything real measurable. And then, so I'm gonna put the top in, see how that looks. I like the base. I like how tall it is, and I like that I should be able to just come up, grab a drawer, pull it out, and be just fine. So I'm just gonna keep measuring it up and see what happens. But I did get the truck back. I got the truck back. So I took it to Subaru and said, hey, my heat's not blowing very good. And they're just like, okay, like, help me out. I'm like, okay, like, it'll be $150 for just diagnostic, $250 if we have to flush it out, and we'll give you a quote if we have to repair. Like, fine by me, let's figure it out. So they call me, or I take it in. Abs and I go to Gooding because we got stuff to do. And as I'm in Gooding, we're sitting there eating lunch at her mom's house, and they text me the little thing that says like, hey, here's your price quote, here's what's going on. And I'm like, $1,800 is what they're quoting me. And I'm like, it's the heater core, they want to replace it. So I called them, and the guy's like, yeah, so my technician says they're getting nothing out of the return line of the heater core. So what we're thinking is, you need a new heater core. I'm like, okay. He's like, do you want to do that? And I'm like, no, not at all. He's like, we have a payment program for stuff like that. I'm like, I don't care. Like, let's just, like, I'll replace the heater core during the summer when I'm not relying on it. I'm not going to spend that $1,800 right now. What do we have options wise? He's like, well, you can come pick it up, or you can spend the $250 and we'll still flush it and see how we do. I'm like, well, it's not really going to make it any worse. So flush it. I'll spend the $250. If anything, we'll find out that it worked really well. Like, he's like, well, we could flush it for $250 and it won't do anything, or a little bit, or we can flush it for $250 and it'll fix it. Like, we'll be good to go. So I get it back today. It's a whole day later. He called me at like 5 yesterday. It's like, hey, my technician's about to go home. So tomorrow he's going to flush it for a third time really, really well and let it soak overnight. Or like, he's going to put some stuff in it tonight and then he's going to let it sit, and then tomorrow he'll come back. He's kind of a perfectionist. He really wants to try one more time. So if you're okay with that, he would love to come. Like, I'd love for you to be, well, my battery is toast, I think. Anyway, so he's like, that's what I'd like to do. I'm like, okay, I can let the car overnight. So today we go over there around 11. Car's ready. He's like, it did a little bit, but you know, not anything worth bragging about. I'm on my way home in this thing, and the heat is, I had to turn it down. So I think, in my opinion, the heat's good. That just means I'm going to do a radiator flush every year. When the summertime comes around, I'm going to take everything apart, or I'm going to do a full radiator flush and a separate heater core flush. Like I'm going to do the heater core, see if I can see how it's doing, and I'm going to put everything back together, and I'm going to do a whole coolant flush of the whole car. Really good, Chris Fix, video worthy. I'm going to follow Chris Fix's good video, because everybody knows and loves a good Chris Fix video. Like, I personally love watching Chris Fix's videos, even if I don't even have to do the repairs. And that's what I'm gonna do. So that's the plan. That's the plan, Stan. And we'll see. You know, one thing I'm thinking about is an inverter in this car, but that'll be for later. I think I have a lot of room here to do some other work, like battery. Like, I've got the batteries. I'd love to know what's underneath here besides the wheel well. Like, there's obviously something in there. I know that there's some stuff just from looking at it here. I think it's most of my blower motor. But putting an extra solar battery or 2 solar battery system in there with my, because I've got Goal Zero batteries and stuff, I might be able to find a way to put them there without doing too much. Another thing I could do is rip out the third row seating and put a whole bunch of stuff down there. That's also an option. But I personally like to be able to say, well, we got enough people going with us. Let's not take 2 cars. Let's put up the third row seat. Twin Falls Sky Booms. Interesting. A lot of people get really annoyed at that. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, it's aliens. We have an ordnance range, like in Mountain Home. There's an ordnance range closer by where the military does ordnance testing and like flybys with military jets and training. We live between 2 Air Force bases, one in Ogden, Utah, which isn't that far when it comes to jets and planes, and one in Mount Home. I'm not surprised we hear booms. Like, people are like, oh yeah, it's the government keeping secrets. No, it's called the U.S. military, also kind of keeping secrets, but like, use your fucking brain maybe. But anyway, I think I have the opportunity to put a solar setup. I want to see what's underneath this. So I'm going to see how this comes out. I'm going to take a look. I'm kind of just twinking around with it. Twinking, we can't say twinking. I'm kind of just dinking around with this fucking thing to see what I can find out to do, like what I want, you know? Just kind of fucking with it. It'd be really nice to have an inverter right here. I can install a couple plugs or something, or even up here while I'm not really using this, I have an inverter, mount it to the side so you can plug stuff in up here. That's why it'd be really nice to put the battery system right here. So we'll see. I mean, if I like those Goal Zero teardrop batteries, they can be taken apart, and if I can take them apart in the right way, I can kind of move stuff around and see how it goes. But I have like 6 solar panels and a real nice area up there to mount to. I'm gonna go for it, see what I can do. I'm just fucking around right now, but I'm gonna run inside, and then I'll come back out and I'll see what I can do. So